Right now at noon, a woman convicted in the Slender Man stabbings will be moved to Dane County. Why her attorney asked for the move. Plus, dozens of trading partners facing new tariff rates. How the markets and businesses are reacting. This is News 3 Now at noon. Thanks for joining us on a Friday afternoon. I'm Josh Spreiter. Right now, Madison police are looking for multiple suspects in an armed robbery that left 2 people hurt. Police responded to the business in the area of Argosy Court and Atlas Avenue on the east side Wednesday night. They say 4 people with guns surrounded the victims, demanded they go back inside while they searched the business. The suspects took one of the victims' bags and their wallet during the robbery. Both victims went to the hospital with minor injuries. Officers are looking at security video but have not made any arrests yet. Anyone with information should contact Madison police. A Madison man charged in a 2022 shooting that injured 2 teenagers will spend 10 years in prison. 23-year-old Avion Vaccaro pled guilty to 2 felony counts of armed robbery as a party to a crime. Police arrested Vaccaro and 22-year-old Jamari Mondi after the shooting outside a McDonald's near the Madison airport. Police say a 16-year-old and 18-year-old were sitting in a car when Vaccaro and Mondi opened fire at the car. In 2023, Mondi pleaded guilty to 2 counts of first-degree intentional homicide attempted as a party to a crime. He was sentenced to 12 years in prison. Following his time in prison, Vaccaro will have to serve 5 years of extended supervision. One of the women convicted in the Slender Man stabbing will soon be moved to a Sun Prairie facility. After Morgan Geyser is released from a mental institution, she'll be placed in a Sun Prairie group home and will wear a GPS monitor. She was originally going to be placed in a facility in Manitowoc, but her attorney requested she be placed in Sun Prairie because Geyser would be the only patient in Manitowoc. Geyser's release date has not been announced, but her attorney says he hopes it will be in the coming days. Turning to weather now, First Warn Chief Meteorologist Alex Harrington has your certified most accurate forecast. Happy Friday, Alex.
Yeah, happy Friday too, Josh, as well. We've been tracking hazy and smoky conditions out there. We're looking at our Queen Bee Radio Skycam out there. Not terribly hazy in our Queen Bee Radio Skycam behind me here in Platteville, but if we can put Max 1 up here into the HMON monitor, then I can show some of our latest updates that are coming up right now as we speak from the National Weather Service. Air quality alerts are being extended across all of southern Wisconsin until noon on Saturday. I know I'm querying here southwest Wisconsin, but it does include all of southern Wisconsin. This is until noon now on Saturday for that smoke and those smoky conditions continuing across the area, while we're having maybe just a bit of improvement from Madison and areas off towards the north and towards the east. That smoke is still hanging on south and west, and it is expected to infiltrate, meaning filter back in to southern Wisconsin as we move through the rest of the day, going on into perhaps much of the weekend. Our live Edgewater Skycam is part of the First Warn WeatherCam network here, showing very hazy conditions, and we're right on the edge of that haziness here as we look over Lake Mendota. And what are we up against? We're up against unhealthy for some to the unhealthy category. That means if you are susceptible to these smoky conditions, it's at your advantage to stay indoors. If you're not susceptible to these conditions, you certainly could limit your outdoor activities. Coming up in just a few minutes, when you see me next, I'm going to track this plume of smoke through the weekend. Josh?
Yeah, I've had a headache that has been lingering over the last couple of days.
Same. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Alex. Well, happening today, Judge Susan Crawford will be sworn into the state Supreme Court. Voters chose the former Dane County Circuit Court judge during the spring election. She beat out Judge Brad Schimmel in a race that attracted national attention. It was the most expensive state Supreme Court race in history. She'll be taking the seat of retiring Justice Ann Walsh Bradley, who served for 3 decades. Judge Crawford will serve a 10-year term. The Trump administration announced new tariff rates for nearly 70 trading partners ahead of its August 1st deadline. The president also slapping a 35% rate on Canada, one of the U.S.'s top trading partners. Natalie Brand is at the White House.
Stocks tumbled Friday morning, reacting to a weak jobs report and new tariff rates revealed for dozens of trading partners, ranging from 41% to 10%.
You know, we're taking in literally trillions of dollars for the country. This is making our country very rich.
The White House says it set the numbers based on trade imbalances and negotiations, but it still came as a shock to some foreign business groups, including in Switzerland, now facing a 39% levy.
We are really stunned. And it is impossible to explain what does it mean and why this decision is made so there is no rationality.
While negotiations are continuing with top trading partners Mexico and China, President Trump increased the tariff on Canadian goods to 35%, citing a lack of cooperation in curbing the flow of fentanyl.
We're seeking the best deal for Canadians.
Prime Minister Mark Carney, pushing back in a statement, wrote Canada accounts for only 1% of U.S. fentanyl imports. He went on to say Canadians will be our own best customer, creating more well-paying careers at home. While analysts say it could take months for consumers to feel the impact of tariffs,
the meat production, the hide production, the feather production can all be decimated.
Small businesses trying to make decisions now say they could be hit hardest.
We want manufacturing in the U.S., but there are some things that we're just not set up to manufacture.
Ryan Vaughn, a cowboy boot manufacturer in Texas who depends on South African ostrich leather, says his made-in-the-USA product relies on global trade. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
For most countries, the new rates will go into effect next week to give customs officials time to adjust to the changes. The family of Virginia Giuffre, one of Jeffrey Epstein's alleged sex abuse victims, is now speaking out after comments made by President Trump. The president said he had a falling out with Epstein after he said Epstein, quote, stole Giuffre, who worked for him as a teenager at Mar-a-Lago. Giuffre recently died by suicide. The family is now questioning why 2 years after Giuffre said she was recruited by Epstein's co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell at Mar-a-Lago, Trump told New York Magazine that Jeffrey Epstein was a, quote, terrific guy, and, quote, it is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side, end quote. Giuffre's family said before she died, she pushed for all the documents in Epstein's case to be released.
She wanted the world to know what they've done to her and so many other survivors, and she had been fighting that to her very last day.
Meanwhile, the president hasn't ruled out a pardon for Maxwell, a possibility Giuffre's family says would be a, quote, abomination, end quote. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration is taking new action in the fight against the opioid crisis. They announced major changes to warning labels on prescription painkillers. Opioid medications will now carry stronger safety labels that better reflect the risks of long-term use. The updated labels will also remove language that could be seen as supporting indefinite use and include new warnings about dose-related risks, withdrawal, and overdose reversal drugs like naloxone. They'll highlight potential interactions with nerve medications as well as rare but serious risks like brain injury after overdose. The CDC says nearly 4% of U.S. kindergartners had an exemption for a required vaccination last school year. The new report shows coverage for all vaccines, including the measles, was lower than the years before. Due to those exemptions, about 138,000 new school children went without one state-mandated vaccine. According to the American Academy of Pediatrics, 45 states allow religious beliefs to be used as a reason for vaccine exemption for children. 15 states allow exemptions for other personal or philosophical reasons. Only 5 states limit vaccine exemptions to medical reasons. Well, right now, the Capital Canines organization is in need of more golfers for their upcoming golf fundraiser. The fund starts at 8:30 in the morning on August 18th at Lake Windsor Country Club. They're also in need of a few hole sponsors and silent auction items. All proceeds go to support the working canines of the Madison Police Department, who will be on hand for the event. Since 2004, Capital Canines has provided all of the funding for the MPD Canine program, except for the officers themselves. Through community fundraising, Capital Canines supports the canine, the squad car, vet services, protective equipment, and canine safety equipment. Taxpayer funds are not used for these expenditures. The News 3 Now Back to School Supply Drive returns next week. We're helping local students start the school year ready to succeed in partnership with the Boys and Girls Club of Dane County. From August 4th through the 15th, we're collecting essential school supplies to support thousands of kids across Dane County. Our big kickoff event, Stuff the Bus, will be held Monday at Walgreens on University Ave, right across from the Hilldale Shopping Center. We'll be there from 6 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. You can help by dropping off supplies or making a donation during those events. Let's stuff the bus and make a difference together. For details, you can visit channel3000.com. Coming up next on News 3 Now at noon, why the High Noon Beverage Company is recalling 2 production lots of its beach variety packs. Plus, how much more people who signed up for a Biden-era repayment plan will now have to pay now that interest is accruing again.
Millions of people with student loans who signed up for a Biden-era repayment plan will start seeing interest accrued to their accounts starting today. According to one analysis, the change could result in an additional $300 in monthly costs for the typical borrower. 2 courts last year issued injunctions against the repayment plan, effectively halting it. The High Noon Beverage Company is recalling 2 production lots of its beach variety packs of 12-ounce cans. The company says some mistakenly contained cans that are filled with High Noon vodka seltzer alcohol and are mislabeled as Celsius Astro Vibe energy drink. High Noon says drinking from those cans would result in unintentional alcohol ingestion. So far, no illnesses or adverse events have been reported. And Reese's and Oreos are teaming up to bring the flavors of each to 2 new products, the Reese's Oreo Cup and Reese's Oreo Cookie. The Reese's Oreo Cup will be available for pre-sale on the Hershey store website starting August 18th. Both sweet treats hit store shelves in September. That's your CBS News Moneywatch report. For more, log on to cbsmoneywatch.com. At the CBS Broadcast Center, I'm Jesse Mitchell.
Here's the stock report at the noon hour. The Dow is down 635 points, NASDAQ down 495, and the S&P 500 down a whopping 91 at this hour. Our call for action volunteers are in the building taking your consumer complaints and taking action on your behalf. Remember to call for action at 608-270-2833. You can also submit a claim anytime at channel3000.com/call for action. The farm numbers are straight ahead along with the first warn forecast heading into the weekend. Then later on live at 4, National Night Out is next week. We speak with Madison's acting police chief about what this means for the community. Pam Yankee is still out of the radio barn on her Canadian Rockies farm tour, so here are your farm numbers. Still dealing with those hazy conditions at the noon hour. Here's Chief Meteorologist Alex Harrington with the first warn forecast. Unfortunately, not going anywhere for the weekend.
No, we're just getting alert updates fresh from the National Weather Service, extending that air quality alert through noon on Saturday. Some of you may be seeing through 6:15 p.m. on Friday. We're trying to get that clarified by the National Weather Service, but it looks like at this point in time that it will continue through noon, and this is why. Our current smoke cover right now, Madison areas to the south and to the west, as I was mentioning last night, likely still seeing those smoky conditions. That's where we still have the yellows and the oranges over southwest Wisconsin. Perhaps a brief reprieve, but with smoke, we've all seen smoke, how quickly and fluid it moves around. And throughout the weekend, we're going to see this plume of smoke continuing to move in and out of the region. So while there may be on and off moments where you breathe the air and it's a little bit more on the fresh side, or the sky is more on the blue side, hence, as you see the blues here as we get towards Friday at 6 o'clock over southern Wisconsin, it doesn't last the entire weekend. As we go into Saturday, notice how the smoke kind of comes right back into Wisconsin in varied amounts of concentrations across the area. The darker the orange, the more concentrated the level of PM 2.5, meaning more in the way of smoke in the air. And as we go into Saturday evening at 6 o'clock, we have smoke on the west part of the state, smoke on the east part of the state, maybe a little break in between, and that continues to meander and swirl around as we go into Sunday. Wouldn't be shocked to see air quality alerts extended beyond Saturday at noon. So the very latest that I have from the National Weather Service with the latest information is into until noon on Saturday, this extension of the air quality warning. And what this means is this is in the unhealthy for some to the unhealthy category. So if you are susceptible to these smoky conditions, it's best to stay indoors, shut the windows, keep that AC on. I know it's tempting to want to turn the AC off when it's so nice out. If you're not susceptible to these conditions, you really should still limit your outdoor activities. Josh and I were just saying, we're both having headaches, and I woke up with a headache today after being out in these conditions on and off yesterday, of course, taking breaks. The latest update, all the gray here, or at least most of the gray, for southwest and south central Wisconsin. Air quality warnings extended through noon on Saturday. And this is what it looks like. When you see that milky white sky here, live in our Upland Hills sky cam in the Dodgeville area as part of the First Warn Weather Cam network, you see all of that milky white sky. That's that haze. That's that smoke in the atmosphere. If it clears out and turns blue, that means the air is a little bit more on the clean side. Let's recap this. Poor air quality today. Smoke still sticking around through Saturday. This weekend, at least it's going to be dry with temperatures near 80. And we're also going to add in here, this is some good stuff as well. I wish we could open the windows up and enjoy the fresh air with comfy humidity levels lasting through Friday, going into Saturday, even as we go out into the early to mid part of next week, just turning a touch more on the humid side, not that oppressive, very humid or oppressive muggy meter readings as we get a little bit later out into next week in our 10-day forecast here as we head towards later Thursday, going on into Friday, lows in the 70s, highs getting back up into the 80s, and that's that muggy factor. And with that, we will have showers and thunderstorm chances return. I had this question asked to me yesterday live at Concerts on the Square. How's the drought conditions? Did we get any continued improvement? Not a whole lot in Lafayette County and parts of Greene County over towards Monroe. Still abnormally dry conditions. This is improvement overall over the course of the past couple of months, but there's still a couple of dry spots out there. While we are up about 1.5 inches for the month, a little bit over 6 inches for the year, we're right at normal, approximately right at normal. So we'll take those raindrops as they return a little bit later next week. Josh?
August 1st already today,
yes.
Can you believe it?
Dog days of summer are here.
All right, Alex, thank you. Well, a man making the trip from Neenah to Madison in a wheelchair is set to arrive at the state capitol for a rally today.
What up, everybody? All right, guys, day 4 starting. Here we go. Let's start day 6.
Carl Schulze has been wheelchair bound for almost 20 years. For the last 2 weeks, he's been making the 127-mile trip to downtown Madison in his wheelchair. His mission is to bring awareness to the lack of home health care access. He says this stems from low pay for care workers and has been exacerbated by recent cuts to Medicaid.
Average pay is like $15 an hour for people to help someone like me. And they could go start at a fast food restaurant for $18 to $20 an hour. Economic factors are leaving people like me behind.
He is set to rally with other members of the disability rights community. They'll end his ride by doing the last mile together. Well, good news for Badgers fans. The Dane County Regional Airport has announced the return of nonstop flights to select UW football games. Flights from Delta, American, and United Airlines offer fans the opportunity to travel to the University of Alabama and the University of Oregon. Plus, fans in Seattle and Ohio can take advantage of direct flights to Madison for games against the Huskies and Buckeyes. After the break, we'll see what Howard's working on in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Today, we're taking a trip down memory lane to a diner that serves the best cinnamon toast. It's not just good, it's downright memorable. Back in college, there was a little diner at the edge of town that was always packed for breakfast. Besides having killer omelets that were practically the size of my head, they were also known for their homemade cinnamon bread that was thick cut and toasted on their griddle. Well, they made theirs from scratch. We've come up with an easy shortcut version that's cinnamony delicious. Ours starts out by unrolling a tube of refrigerated French bread dough onto a cutting board. You want to do this gently so you end up with a rectangle, like this. Next, we brush this with some melted butter and sprinkle on a generous amount of cinnamon sugar. On top of that, we add some raisins, or if you prefer, dried cranberries, cherries, or you can mix and match your favorites. Now we roll this up and place it in a loaf pan and let it sit at room temperature to rise for a bit before we bake it off. After it cools slightly, we drizzle it with a quick throw-together vanilla glaze. Now it's ready to enjoy as is, or you can butter it up and toast it on a griddle like I remember. Either way, I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. You can get our shortcut recipe for cinnamon swirl raisin bread online. I'm Howard of the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a memory-making way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
Here's Alex with a final check of your first warn weather.
Josh, updates here. Air quality warnings are in effect now for all of southern Wisconsin until noon on Saturday. Will not be surprised to see these extended further into the weekend as this smoke plume continues to swirl around the upper Midwest. This is in that unhealthy range, so if you are susceptible to these conditions, it's advised that you stay indoors, shut the windows, and of course leave that AC on. Even though temperatures are pretty nice out there, we'll be dealing with the smoke through the weekend, and we'll have a latest update on these alerts and that smoke plume coming up at Live at 4 this afternoon. Josh.
All right, Alex, thank you. Thanks for watching at noon. The Bold and the Beautiful is up next. We're always on at channel3000.com.